You're lying in bed, lights off, phone in your hand. You weren't planning to check anything money-related. You just did. Face ID, that little loading circle. And there it is, your credit score, higher than it's ever been. You blink, refresh, check again, just to make sure it's not a glitch. Nope, it's real. You finally made it. The number everyone talks about. The one that's supposed to mean you're responsible now. Your chest actually relaxes. Your shoulders drop. You think, okay, I did it. I fixed my credit. And for a few days, life feels different. You stop flinching when emails come in. You don't avoid unknown phone numbers anymore. You walk past car dealerships without that tight feeling in your stomach. You even start thinking something dangerous. Maybe I'm finally good with money. And that's when the system wakes up. Your phone buzzes. A credit card company congratulating you. Your bank letting you know you're pre-approved. A dealership reminding you of your new buying power. Suddenly, the world feels nicer, more polite, more welcoming. Doors start opening that were very firmly closed before. And here's the part nobody warns you about. None of this feels predatory. It feels earned. You didn't cheat. You didn't get lucky. You followed the rules. You paid on time. You kept balances low. You waited. So when the system starts offering you more, it doesn't feel like a trap. It feels like a reward. But that's the catch. Because a good credit score isn't a finish line. It's a trigger. And once you hit it, the rules quietly change. Most people don't notice until years later, when they're still stressed, still stuck, and wondering why doing everything right didn't actually make life easier. Here's the uncomfortable truth. We talk about credit scores like they're proof you've made it. Like once you cross that number, things calm down. But credit doesn't exist to make your life easier. It exists to make borrowing easier. And those two things are not the same. Visual CUE, animated finish line that turns into a treadmill. Think of it like this. Getting out of bad credit is like crawling out of a hole. Every payment is effort. Every decision is defensive. You're careful because you have to be. Then you finally climb out, and instead of solid ground, you're placed on a moving walkway. You're not falling anymore, but you're also not standing still. The system keeps you moving. Phase 1 is survival. Phase 2 is temptation. And Phase 2 quietly costs people more money than Phase 1 ever did. That's why you see people with great credit and decent incomes still living paycheck to paycheck. That's why so many people with 750-plus scores don't have meaningful savings. It's not because they're irresponsible. It's because the system is tuned to extract more from people the moment they stop being desperate. You're not broken. That's almost everyone. My name is Mike, and I spend an unhealthy amount of time thinking about how money actually works in real life. Not the guru version, not the motivational poster version, but the version people quietly live with. Quick disclaimer. This is education and entertainment only. I'm not a financial advisor. This isn't personalized advice. Money is personal. Rules change. Talk to a professional before making big decisions. All right, let's talk about what actually changes once your credit score improves. Phase 1 is about fear. You don't miss payments because you can't afford to. You keep balances low because interest hurts. Every decision has consequences you feel immediately. Phase 2 feels different. The fear fades, and confidence takes its place. That sounds good. It's also expensive, because confidence is where the system makes its money. Banks don't aggressively market to people who are barely hanging on. They market to people who look stable, people who pay on time, people who feel safe. And safety is when spending feels justified. This is where the credit score trap lives. You stop asking, can I afford this? And start asking, does a payment fit? Those are very different questions. A $400 increase in monthly payments doesn't feel dramatic until you multiply it by 72 months. That's almost $30,000. Not all at once. Quietly, in the background. That's how the trap works. You're not doing anything reckless. You're optimizing, keeping cards open for utilization, taking loans for history, upgrading because the rate is good. None of it feels irresponsible. It feels smart. But the system doesn't care if you're smart. It cares if you're consistent. And consistent borrowers are very profitable. This is the rich tax nobody calls a tax. Not interest alone, but opportunity cost. Money that could have gone toward freedom gets locked into obligations that feel harmless month to month. Let's make this real with simple math. Say better credit lets you justify an extra $300 a month in payments. Car, cards, whatever. $300 doesn't sound life-changing, but over 5 years, that's $18,000. And if that $300 had gone into something boring, like savings or a basic index fund, you don't just lose the $18,000. You lose what it could have become. That's the invisible cost. Federal Reserve data shows a huge percentage of Americans with good credit still can't cover a modest emergency without borrowing. Not because they don't earn enough, but because their margin got eaten up by manageable payments. Debt doesn't usually break people. Drip by drip, it narrows their options. Let me tell you about two people. Same age, same income, same credit score. Alex hits a great score and feels relieved. Alex upgrades a car, keeps a balance just in case, uses credit as a buffer instead of cash. Nothing explodes. Life continues. 5 years later, Alex still feels pressure, still needs the income, still can't take risks. Jordan hits the same score, but Jordan treats it like a tool, not a trophy. Jordan sets rules. Cash first. Debt only when it increases options. No upgrades just because approval exists. Jordan builds a floor, money that never gets touched. Then a growth layer, boring automatic investing. Same score, different outcome. Studies consistently show that people who limit optional debt and automate boring decisions end up wealthier. Not because they're smarter, but because they protect flexibility. That's the difference. So here's the simple playbook. 1. Treat cash like oxygen. Credit is backup, not the foundation. 2. Approvals are marketing, not permission. They exist because you're profitable. 3. Build layers. A floor for safety. A growth layer for the future. An options layer for freedom. 4. Be suspicious of anything framed as a reward. Rewards usually benefit the issuer more than you. A good credit score is useful, but it's not the goal. Options are the goal. Freedom is the goal. The Ray catches in bad credit. It's believing good credit means you're done. Protect your first real stability like it's the floor, not the finish line.